Carp Academy in association with Daiwa.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Carp Academy 2010. I'm Ali Hamidi and we're back at the prolific Thorpley fishery in Egham, Surrey, where the lads have been catching loads of carp, learning lots. So without further ado, let's crack on with those lessons. So many types of PVA, funnel web, solid bags, long chuck, boilie web. Adam Penning takes you through them.
Okay, the lads have been using 3 basic different types of PVA funnel web presentation in their fishing during this tutorship. The first one, the basic funnel web bag, tied big and large like this, typically a golf ball sized bag. This is just going to be hooked on and cast, I don't know, anything up to about 50 or 60 yards. It's quite a weighty kind of bag with a lot of bait, so for fishing short to medium range where you want to get some bait down, distance isn't really an issue, then big funnel web bags like this enable you to deliver a good amount of feed to the swim. Simply hook them on, make them up in advance. The next one is the boilie stick. Now this uses, as you would expect, the boilie system, which is specifically designed to take a tube of boilies like this. A lot of the lads like to use it in 3s, tied very, very tight. The 3 boilies will break apart and it will give you a presentation of 2 baits around your hook bait. And when I tie this up, we pop 3 baits down the tube, tie it off nice and tightly, and then when they're actually in here tied off, the last boilie becomes your hook bait. So we pass the needle through there, put a hair stop through the loop, and there you have an extremely tangle free presentation that's going to give you a hook bait and 2 freebies in very, very close proximity. The last one is the long chuck funnel system. So as you can see, this long chuck type system is very, very streamlined, very narrow, very thin, and it's designed to get that bait out there with freebies around it at the maximum range. So if you're faced with a headwind or long distance casting, this is the one to use. Most of the lads have been using this probably in a shorter one, maybe 20 mil, just threaded on or hooked onto the end of their rigs, and it's working very, very well. This has got a little cut down boilie, and that's it. Very nice. Okay, the last system, this is really, really an exceptional fish catcher, really gained popularity in the last few years, is the solids PVA bag approach. Now, as the name suggests, it's a solid bag which doesn't have any holes. It's a film, it's made from a sheet film, which is very, very fast melting, but very, very durable. And that carries a compact package of bait that when it's finished with your lead inside, weighs about 4.5 ounces. Because it's so tight and the lead is inside, it will cast absolutely miles. So the lads have been using these to great effect as well. It's a great single bite approach. You can put these out on their own where the fish are showing or where they're congregating, and you can get a bite just on this alone. However, if you're maybe fishing over a spotted area and you want to fish solid bags over the top just to keep your baited area topped up like that, it can also work well like that. So to make these up, this is the small size solids. Line the bottom of your bag using the scoop with a small amount of bait, pack it down into the corners. The secret with making these guys is to get them as tight and compact as you can possibly get them, because then they're going to cast as well as they can. If you've got it loosely packed, it's going to flail through the air in a haphazard way and you won't get the distance or the accuracy. So pack everything in as tightly as you can, get the layer into the bottom, then put your lead in. Inline leads work fantastically well with solid bags. Put your lead in there, the front part of the lead into the nose of the bag, more bait with the scoop, fill up around the lead, pack it down with your fingers, keep packing it down tight as you go, fill it up a bit more. When you're about 3/4 full, take your hook bait, which is laying over the lip of the bag for the duration, so it's out of the way. At this point, you're going to take the hook bait, drop it in on top of the feed when it's about 3/4 full, bit more bait on top, pack it down tightly, and then you're going to screw your bag shut. Again, make sure that you're doing it as tight and compact as you possibly can. Screw it up very tightly, wet the neck of the PVA, both inside and outside. Inside if you can stomach the taste of your ground bait. If not, just lick around the outside and screw it up very, very tightly. Personally, I like to also tie it off with PVA tape. Most of the lads don't bother, but I just like the extra security, especially if I'm punching them out a long way. And what you're left with is a very, very compact bait missile. When this breaks down onto the bottom, you'll have an area of food, you know, the sort of a small plate size, lots of particles. Your hook bait will be presented nicely in the middle, and that is the solid PVA bag, a devastating tactic for catching carp.
Right, a little chance to talk to Mr. Peck about some bottom bait rigs, because there's all sorts of options to choose out there, but I know this man likes a particularly simple one, but it's not as simple as you think, is it?
Well, it is simple, but it still has to be tied correctly. Like a few mil here and a few mil there not tied correctly can result in dropped fish, and obviously that's not what you want. You want to land everything you hook. So what I do here on my knotless knot, it's tied bang level with the point.
Okay.
With the braid, I've whipped past the point before I've tightened it to allow for it, when I tighten it, to come up level with the point.
Okay.
So that's where that's got to be.
Why is that? Why does it have to be that far up?
Well, I think that's the central weight point of the hook. If the fish is picking the boilie up like so, then the hook is hanging in the right position.
So the point's going to touch flesh?
Yeah, going to be in the right position. Also, I can't say exactly why this is, but the hair, I find just a little bit of clearance, like a couple of mil, just from the bottom of the bend there, is optimum. I don't lose many fish like that. But when I have had longer ones, like, for example, like this one, that's a bit longer and hasn't been whipped down level with the point, I find that I lose a lot of fish on this.
That's almost KD rig style, but because that's a bottom bait, it probably unbalances the hook. Would you say that's a chance?
Yeah, definitely. And if you look, when you hold it up, it just doesn't look like that one does.
Yeah, exactly. And because that's a weighted bait, it's making the eye heavy, isn't it? So it's kind of tipping the hook the other way.
Yeah, certainly.
Right. So when you're tying that hair off, is there anything you do to get the length of it? Do you have to position it exactly there before you start tying it off, or is it slightly longer because you pull it tight?
When I'm tying the rig, I always put the bait on the hair first, and then I slide the hook down the hook link, and basically I put it where I want it, and then I pinch it in place like so.
Yep.
And then it's trapped at the right distance, and then I wind it round, and then it's going to be bang right every single time.
Okay. And the length of the rig, Daryl, what's that based on?
You can go shorter or longer. Generally, my hook links tend to be between 4 and 10 inches long. Sometimes maybe 12 inches long, depending on how clean the bottom is and how big the fish I'm fishing for.
Okay. So what? The bigger the fish, the longer the hook link?
Yeah, generally in my fishing, I just like to give them a little bit of time to get the bait back into the mouth before the hook link tightens. Obviously, all their movements are magnified for their size.
Yeah, it's bigger and more deliberate.
Yeah.
All right, okay. And the lead system, because I know this is an actual rig that you've devoured lakes around, some of the hardest lakes in England on, haven't you? But it's so simple. Talk me through the lead system.
Well, the most important thing about any lead system is that you don't tangle. And with a soft braided hook link like this, it's easy to get tangles if you haven't got a good setup. Yep. So I've got a really aerodynamic shaped lead here, like a Skyline lead, 1.5 ounces, with a tail rubber that keeps it all plush here, so there's nothing for the hook link as it's fraying around.
Smooth and tapered, isn't it?
Smooth and tapered, and the tubing fits perfectly into there, and the tubing has to be longer than the hook link. And if you look, it's a couple of inches longer, nearly twice the length. That's going to go around in the air like this, and there's nothing for it to tangle on, and it's going to leave your rig presented on the bottom lovely.
So simple and absolutely effective, catches carp from anywhere.
Well, Adam, that's a chunky 19-pounder, and for you the academy must be going really well. You know, just tell us how you caught it.
Well, we saw some fish rolling earlier, and we just flicked a little PVA bag with a 100 one, and she went off.
Excellent. And is that your first one today?
No, this is my third today.
Third today. Well, you're doing all right. Well, you're obviously. Are you enjoying the academy?
Yeah, it's great. I'm learning loads.
You're learning loads. Well, that's what it's all about. And we'll see you later when you catch another one.
Definitely.
Cheers.
One of the questions I get asked more than most is how do you get a job working in the angling industry, or how do you get sponsored by a big tackle company? The answer is it isn't that easy. I actually went away to university, I got a degree in the media and marketing industry, and that's what I carved a career in. My fishing was just on the side, it was a hobby. I never planned for the two to come together, but eventually by doing a good job in marketing and media, a company noticed me and took me on, and that's what I've carved a career in. That's what you need to do. To get yourself noticed, you need a trade, you need to learn to write well, write articles, and more importantly learn to take a great photo, because that's how you're going to get your articles printed, and that's how companies are going to start to notice you. Let's take James Armstrong for example. He went to a magazine at a young age and become a brilliant photojournalist. That's what you've got to do. You've got to go somewhere and work your way up, get yourself an industry, because without it you're no good to anybody. Tom Dove for example, how he got involved in the trade was by winning the Junior British Championships, and he was out there catching big carp regularly. It wasn't just catching the odd fish, he was being successful, and that's how you get noticed. So my advice to all of you is get an education, get yourself a trade, and give yourself something to offer a company.